This conference will now be recorded.
So most of you are like, new to Salesforce world and want to know, like, so you just have heard that, okay, there are some job opportunities in Salesforce. It is easy to learn, right? So you can get a, like, some training, and then you can practice on your own and then get a job, right? That is the whole motive here, right? So that is like we all have seen that stage, right? No, I might have also done it, but I have done it like 9 years back, and you are doing it now, right? So what I will, so I when I teach Salesforce, right? So I basically go back to my experience and the questions which I had, right? So I, like, unfortunately, the demo which was given to me was not detailed enough, right? So when I try to give a demo session like this, which will go for around 1.5 hour, right? So what I will do is I will try to clarify your doubts as a beginner in Salesforce, right? So you just have heard about Salesforce as a technology, right? You don't know, like, what it is, right? And how it is, okay, and how long, like, this career opportunities will be there. So I will try to address all those questions in this demo today, okay? And I will also give you a quick like visual representation or the account or something like that, right? That how it looks like, to be working in Salesforce. Okay, so that would be our agenda for today. Okay, so we'll start with our offering. So what we are offering here is a course which is basically admin plus dev. Okay, so and then which will be around 42 hours in duration. Okay, so we will go through all these like, so you can see that, this is the notepad I create, like, for my batches. So I basically pretty much write notes throughout the sessions, and then I basically give those notes to the students, right? So yeah, means I do it, like, again and again and again for every batches, right? And the same thing I'm going to do it for you guys as well. Okay, so there is a lot of, like, topics will be covered from the admin side and as well as the developer side, right? So we will understand what is admin, what is developer, like, we will go through all those things, right? So let's get going. Okay, so let's start with the stuff, right? So we'll start with a very common thing, which is Salesforce. So what is Salesforce? So every one of you have heard about Salesforce, right? And that is why you have opted for this training or a demo right now. So anyone, like, what is your thought? What is Salesforce?
Salesforce is a CRM application where all the business transactions actually happen, starting from um, you know um, talking to the client or future client and getting their thoughts about our products, and then, like, we initiate the sales from Salesforce, and during this process, whatever it is, we capture all the actions, um, like um, like our products, and all the information will be shared to the client. And if the client is interested, then we close the deal, and then we go for the next stage, which is invoicing. And if it is subscription based, and we integrate all other subscription based tools like CPQ and stuff like that. And then finally, like, we'll give access to the client, right? So that's
Okay.
uh, that's to my knowledge.
Right. So Rajesh, whatever you have talked about is correct, but actually that is not answer to my question.
Okay.
So it is something like, if I ask somebody that what do you, like, what is Apple as a company, right? As a company, like, so you'll not say that, okay, Apple is a like, phone or iPod, right? So first of all, it's a company, right? So same thing goes with Salesforce also. So if somebody asks you what is Salesforce, so at first it's a company, right? So we all are aware that it's a company. And if it's a company, it basically, like, started somewhere. So it is started somewhere around 1998 or 1999, right? And who was the founder? Founder was Mark Benioff. Okay, so Mark Benioff has founded this company called Salesforce in 1998, 99. It's a listed company. I'm not sure, like, how many of you are from US, but if you're in US, you can go to like or if you're not in US also, you can just Google it out. It's a listed company. Okay, so listed means it is still listed on the stock exchange with the ticker symbol of CRM. Okay, so if you find CRM in New York Stock Exchange or Nasdaq or anywhere, right? So you will find this ticker symbol, and it's a listed company. Okay, and the company was started in 1998, 1999. Right? Now, second step. Now we come to the part which Rajesh tried to answer, is that if it's a company, what that company does, right? So back in, when they started in 1999, the company, they started with a product. The product was called as cloud-based sales CRM. Okay, cloud-based sales CRM, right? Which is also popularly known as Sales Cloud. Okay, so what is this cloud-based sales CRM? Now, cloud-based sales CRM is a definition in itself, right? So we'll start with understanding pieces of this particular term. So the first thing is cloud-based. So what is cloud-based? So if I say anything cloud-based, what does that mean? So what is your understanding? If somebody asks you or tells you that, okay, this particular software is a cloud-based, or this technology is cloud-based, so what is the first thing which strikes you? Rajesh, Vedanta, Lalit, Amani. Okay, so the first thing which should strike you when you say it as a cloud-based technology or a software or application, that means that the infrastructure which you are going to use is provided by the vendor. Okay, so I'll give you an example, right? So like everyone uses Facebook, right? So everyone uses Facebook. Okay, so when you use Facebook, and say for example me and Rajesh are friends, right? So when I go to a beach and I take a good picture on a beach, right? And I uploaded that picture, right? So as soon as I upload the picture, Rajesh will be able to see. Okay. And Rajesh can be in US, I can be in India, or somebody can be in Australia, right? Throughout the world, people can access that image. But how they are accessing? Do you have so when you use Facebook, do you have your own storages? Do you have your own servers or CPUs? No, right? You don't have that infrastructure with you, right? So what you do is, in a cloud-based, and Facebook is a cloud-based social platform, right? So in any cloud-based platform, what you do is you use the vendor's infrastructure to perform a transaction. So uploading a pic and making it available to other people is a transaction, right? So in that transaction, you need to basically somebody has to provide you the infrastructure to facilitate that. So if that particular any technology or any application is working in a way where they provide the infrastructure support to perform a transaction, that becomes cloud-based, right? Can you give another example of a cloud-based application? There's so many, right? So you said Twitter. So you are not storing those tweets, right? So there is infrastructure which Twitter is providing, and people are tweeting to each other's, tagging and all that. Gmail, you don't have a email server, right? In your house to send an email to Gmail, or to send an email to one person to the other, right? So like that, there are so many technologies and software which are around, uh, which are basically cloud based, and how they are basically being able to interact with each other through the internet. So internet is a key point. You cannot send an email without an internet. You cannot upload a photo without an internet. So internet is the lifeline of a cloud-based technology. So when you have started their company, they started with a cloud-based application. We will not say sales CRM, but we'll say application. So an application which they basically developed, which is cloud-based. So what they are going to do is they are going to have all the infrastructure, and they are going to help the their like clients with the transaction. So what this particular software was going to do is sales CRM. Now sales, everyone understand what is sales? Like, if anyone want to sell something, you need an application. So this application was for sales. And what is CRM? So basically CRM stands for customer relationship management, right? CRM stands for customer relationship management. So when I say customer relationship management, that means that in nutshell, it's an application. So what all so what all Rajesh has spoken about, as a definition of Salesforce was actually, it is a definition of a sales cloud or say customer, cloud-based sales CRM. So CRM is nothing but an application which basically gathers the data, uses that data to help with your business. So business can be sales, business can be servicing, business can be marketing or anything, right? So CRM is a application which basically gathers your customer data of various cadre and helps you to run a business more efficiently, right? And when you basically do it cloud based, so that becomes the sales cloud, and this is the product which they initially came up with. Okay, and they were selling this product to various clients, right? And with this time, right, so now you can see that almost 22 23 years 23 24 years have already gone. So they have come up with so many other clouds. So they have acquired a lot of companies. Salesforce, right? Salesforce acquired a lot of companies. They came up with so many other clouds. So they came up with service cloud, then marketing cloud, then you have health cloud. They acquired Tableau CRM, and they have experience cloud, right? Then you have FSC, financial services cloud, FS cloud, IoT cloud, right? Etc. etc. So there are a lot of different clouds they have come up with. Commerce cloud is there, um, non-profit cloud is there, education cloud is there. So they have come up with so many cloud-based solution they have come up with. So that is why Salesforce has become a very sticky business. Sticky business, you understand? Sticky business means that if I'm a client to Salesforce, so Salesforce has so much to offer. What they say is, okay, you have you are using this product, use this also. I will give you some discount. You are using my sales cloud, take my marketing cloud also. This is also good. There is a good connectivity between the two and things like that, right? So Salesforce has become a very sticky business, and that is why you guys are seeing a lot of demand also in the jobs. We'll come to that part, okay? So this is one aspect of the Salesforce. And then they also have something called as a force.com. Now force.com is a platform, right? So this is a platform where if you don't want to buy existing cloud or a ready-made application for you can basically build an application right from the scratch. So force.com is a platform on which you can build any application right from the scratch. And it can be an enterprise level, so it can be as simple as a library management system, or it can be as complex as an enterprise level application which basically deals with multiple languages, multiple currencies, multiple time zones, etc., 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 right? So most of our part for this training will be spent on this force.com platform. So we will learn that what all Salesforce offers, right, out of the box and customization, and what all we can learn and develop an application. And this force.com is not just only used for developing the application from the scratch, but you can make customization on your existing clouds also. So like sales cloud, service cloud, and your health cloud and others, right? So force.com also helps you to make customizations in these ready-made clouds. And that is why it is very important, to get a job in Salesforce, you need to know the functionality which force.com basically provides. So if you go for an interview or something, you are going to you are going to uh, basically going for this force.com interview only. So they will ask you that how you can do this, how you can do that, how you can do this, how you can do that, things like that. What are the best practices and things like that, right? So in your interviews, you will be asked all the questions about the force.com as a platform, that how you can solve different use cases using Salesforce. Okay, any questions till now? Any questions?
One question I have is that Vedanta here.
Yeah.
So what is it like? What is that you need to know, like in front to learn Salesforce? What technologies that you need to know before learning Salesforce?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll come back to it. I'll answer that question, Vedanta. Okay, just wait for it. Anything else? Okay.
Rahul, one quick question. So, we are going to cover admin as well as dev modules here, right? So,
Right.
what takes precedence and what is covered the most?
Okay. I'll cover that also. Rajesh, okay. So I'll start with Vedanta's question, right? So what do you know? What do you need to know to learn Salesforce? The answer is absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So most, like many people think that to learn Apex, which is the language for Salesforce, you need to know Java and things like that. The answer is no. Okay. So we here, like don't assume that you know anything about Salesforce or basically CRM or anything of that sort, or any language you have a prior language experience. We don't basically assume in that. Okay. So you kind of, obviously, if you know Java, because Apex is also a object oriented programming language. So if you already know Java, that would basically help you, right? It is something like same like if you know maybe Hindi as a language, it's easier to learn Marathi, which is very close, or Gujarati, right, which is very close to it, right? But it doesn't mean that that becomes a prerequisite for it, right? These two are two different languages, and it has its own pros and cons. So to learn Salesforce, you basically need nothing for to learn it, right? So we basically start from the scratch. Okay, both admin part and dev part. Now coming to the Rajesh's question about what is basically the mix admin and dev. So I can say that it is mostly like 50-50, right? So for 50% of the time we're going to spend on the admin stuff, and then another 50% on the dev part, right? And I would personally suggest, okay, that every one of you, if you opt for the training, should learn admin plus little bit of dev. Okay, so you might think that, okay, I don't have to go to dev. Okay, don't go. Okay, that's fine, right? If you don't want to go to development, don't go. So learning dev doesn't mean that you are going to code. Okay, what does that mean is that you should be knowing the what you can achieve with the development. What are the limitations of your admin, and when your dev basically comes in, right? So it is very important to go this curriculum is the basics of Salesforce. Everyone should basically know these things which we are going to learn. And this is not also the end of Salesforce. So Salesforce is a very wide technology. There are a lot of things which are going on here and there, like you have marketing cloud and other stuff, right? Those are huge. But what we are going to learn is going to give you a platform from where you can launch yourself as a Salesforce professional. Okay, so if you basically think that, okay, hey Rahul, I don't have to code. Okay, so I'm not going to have this like dev whatever you're going to show, and I'm not interested, right? That is not the correct approach. I'll tell you. Okay, if you don't want to code, don't learn it. Don't basically do a hands-on, but be part of the sessions. See that what are the limitations of the admin, because we are not just going to learn the development, we are also going to see that why we have gone to development. What is the thing which we are not able to achieve in admin stuff or out of the box, for which we need to go to dev, right? So those aspects are very important. So if you basically learn end to end, you will be able to learn a lot of things. And if you are able to learn coding, that is nothing better than that, right? Everyone should know, because that is the hard part, right? So if you know a little bit of it, it is not going to harm you. Okay. Okay, so we'll move along. So we'll go to the next aspect of Salesforce, which is the certifications, right? So there are so for the beginner level, there are like two tracks which are there, right? So one is the admin track and one is the development track, right? So now this is the choice which you guys need to make for yourself, that which track you want to go, right? Do you want to go to as an admin track or development track, right? So obviously admin will have lesser jobs than development, right? Because obviously for every 10 developers there will be only one admin, right? So if you go for admin job, it is difficult to find, but obviously it is easier to do because you need not to code, you need not to solve things programmatically and things like that, right? So the certification path for admin is you should give the admin certification followed by app builder, and then you can follow it with the some consulting level certifications like sales cloud consultant and service cloud consultant, right? If you go for developer track, again you need to give the admin certification, because admin certification is, again, as the name suggests, it's not just for the admin. Okay, admin certification basically certifies that you know the basic stuff in Salesforce, and the same thing is with app builder also. So to start with, if you need to start your Salesforce journey, these are the two certification you should eye for: admin and app builder. Okay, so if you have these two certifications, that basically certifies that you know the basics of Salesforce and you will be able to work on it. Okay, and then you can go for developer 1 certification and then developer 2 and so on. Okay, and then you have like JavaScript developer and other stuff, right? So for from our curriculum, right, whatever we are providing, so you should be able to clear admin certification, app builder certification, and developer 1 certification. So these are the 3 certifications we almost cover in our curriculum. So once you are done with this curriculum, you will be able to target these 3 certifications and you can get them done. Okay, which is very nice. Okay, so if you are able to complete three certifications after the training, and it will be far easier for you to get a job, because I take a lot of interviews as well, right? So whenever a person comes, so like, to be frank, 80% of people are like that only, right? So they basically learn Salesforce and then they come here and they try to get a job, right? We all know, right? And we hire also people, we know that that this person might not have a extensive experience in the Salesforce, but that's how it is, right? Nobody can born with all the experience. So what we check is that how much certified he is and how much he's able to answer the questions. If a person who is able to answer questions correctly and have a couple of certification in the under the belt, we basically hire them. Okay, so that is why it is very important that you basically complete this training, which will go for 1.5 months, and then basically appear for the certifications, get the certification done another 1 or 2 months, and then you are going to be interview ready, and you will be able to blast your interviews as well. Okay, so these are basically some of the certification flows, right? And if somebody asks you that from where I can get certified, so there is a one-stop shop. It's called as Trailhead. So if you go to Trailhead, you guys are able to see my screen, right? So if you go to credentials, certification, right? So under credentials, you have this certification, right? And here you can see that all the certifications which Salesforce provides as of now. So you can see administrator certification, architect, developer, marketeer, consultant, and other certifications are there, right? So let's see the example of administrator. So you go to administrator certification, and then you can get a lot of study material and all those things which you will basically go through. And then you go to exam guide. Here you will be able to see that what this certification is all about. So how many questions are you going to come, what is the passing score, what is the registration fee, what is the retake fee, and things like that, right? So all those things are pretty much, and what all is covered in this certification is also a part of here, right? So and to book a certification, you can directly book it from here. Okay, so there will be a register button, and you'll be able to register for your certification also from here. Okay, so certification is one aspect, good aspect, which you will need to focus, and as part of this curriculum, and after this curriculum, you should basically appear for these three certification: admin, app builder, and developer one. Okay, okay. Now the next thing which we basically go through is the security. So being a cloud-based system, security is one of the concern, right? So how, because you are putting your data and your transactions are not going through your own servers, right? Okay, so before even going to security, right? So how our technology world has changed, right? So if you talk about 70s and 80s, it was all mainframes, right? Anybody who was working on mainframe is the king. Then comes the client server technologies like Java, .NET, Cbl, and all those things came in, right? So to host those technologies, you basically companies have bought huge servers and data centers, created data centers and things like that, right? Internet was not that great also at that time, right? But as we moved into the late 2000s, right, what started to happening is that internet has evolved as great speeds have come in, right? So you are able to perform your transactions way faster, way secure, right? And now companies don't want to spend so much time and energy on those infrastructure. So I have worked, Rajesh would be agreeing with me that that if you work in a Java based project or a .NET based project, most of our time our JVM is hung, or CPU is timing out, or heap size is exceeding, right? So rather than doing the business, the company is spending a lot of time and effort in making their infrastructure up to date and work correctly, right? And that is basically where these cloud-based technologies have come in, right? And that is where these cloud-based technologies have come in, because no company, Coca-Cola is a company, right? So they don't want to work too much on their IT, maintaining servers and maintaining things. They want to sell cold drink. Similarly, if you talk about like State Farm or Allstate, they want to sell insurance. They don't want their spending too much of amount in basically maintaining servers and things like that, right? And that is where these cloud-based technologies are helping, because they are saying to these businesses, hey, you do what you're good at, which is business. Okay, rest everything, leave on us. So what Salesforce says, you do the sales part, right? You do your business part, infrastructure part. Let me handle for your behalf, and give me this much amount of money per month or per year. I will take care. So this kind of a this kind of a model which we are going in. And same thing with Netflix, right? Like nobody's giving cable TVs and all those things like money right now, right? Because we are saying to Netflix saying, you give me $15 per month, and I'm going to give you best content which is available, and you can watch it at your own whenever you want and whatever you want, right? So Netflix is also a cloud-based system, right? Because all the movies and shows are on the cloud, and you are just using it on your TV, right? So it's pretty much the same thing, for the any cloud-based company is true. Now comes the security aspect, because obviously your data is stored in a different location. Your like your your transaction is happening via third party or a vendor, right? So your security aspect is something which comes into picture, and somewhere these clients will ask that why we take Salesforce, why we go into Salesforce, right? So there is a site which you can go through, which is called as trust.salesforce.com. Okay, so this is a site which I encourage you guys to go through, which just talks about the security aspects, what all are the security aspects of Salesforce, right? And then what are the compliance aspects of Salesforce, right? So it basically talks about everything. So At any time, like, so you can see that, Salesforce is compliant with pretty much anything and everything, right? Okay. So if anyone basically asks you as a client, they ask you that, okay, how secure is Salesforce as like, data and then things like that. So you can basically direct them to this site and it has like, answers to all those questions. Okay. And what is like, how much, what is the system status, right? Now, what is the status of Salesforce? Like, how much time they are up and they are down. So Salesforce is up pretty much 99.99 time, like, percent of the times. So like you can see here, right? Salesforce services, if I want to check, like, you can see that, this is pretty much up. If you want to go to history, you can see it's all green, right? So Salesforce is not down, like, like for days or hours or things like that. There can be some here and there glitches, but they are very, very minimal. Okay, very, very minimal. Okay. So that basically answers the question about the security. Any questions, anyone? So Hamani has left. I'm not sure, like, it could be like, he might be having some work or something. But others, do you have any question, Lalit, Rajesh?
Um, no, no, Rahul.
Okay. Okay. Well, the next thing, like, which we go for
So we are
is
getting started on the security. You talked a little bit about security, but then all these large corporations, they do have pretty good security about customer data, client data, right? And
right.
there are binding contracts that actually they have to abide by, and in case of issues, then probably they have to. I mean, security is kind of they're top notch. They should have top notch security, right? And
Exactly.
um,
Yes.
and it goes with all the cloud-based companies. Now everything is cloud, right? So
Correct. Correct.
um,
Exactly.
irrespective of whether it is Salesforce or Google or any company we talk about.
Right. Exactly. So basically, why is security is more important with an application like with a company like Salesforce, because you see, like, like Salesforce now also offering things like health cloud and financial cloud, right? So as soon as you get into these companies, right? So for example, you want to sell JP Morgan or Bank of America or a big insurance company like maybe MetLife or Farm or Allstate, right? So when you want your clients, like, your financial services client, right? Or health insurance or health clients, so the biggest problem is security, right? Because they have their own like guidelines. Like it's easier to sell a cloud-based solution to a company like Toyota, because the data which they have is less sensitive. I'm not saying it's not at all sensitive, but it is lesser sensitive than the data which JP Morgan has. Makes sense, right? Or not?
Yeah,
Because you have your like, account information, you have your assistant information, you have like, those companies will have all that, like, health information in case of a health industry, right? Who has which car data is not that sensitive in front of it, right? So when you want to sell your like, solution or a say, cloud-based solution to a financial services or your health clients, so you have to basically prove them that you are good enough to basically take care of these data, and then there will be no leakage and there will be no issues and things like that, right? And that is where all those compliances things and all those things will come into picture. So you see Salesforce is HIPAA compliant and so many, like, so Europe has a lot of compliances, US has a lot of compliances, Asia Pacific has a lot of compliances. They are pretty much up to date with that, so that they can expand in their like, those businesses, right? I remember, like, I worked for Goldman Sachs as a client, and like, 3 years back, no, not even three, 5 years back, right? So they were using Salesforce as their building management system initially, right? So it's like, they have an application where who sits where kind of a, like, data was there, and if there is a change in desk, so they were managing that, right? So obviously they, at that point of time, they did not have trust to enforce Salesforce in their core businesses, right? But later, if you see, there are a lot of other things like, which Goldman Sachs has like, opted Salesforce for their core businesses, for their mortgage businesses, for their like, retail businesses and things like that, right? So that's how Salesforce is evolving and getting into the various clients. So they start like, small, and then they try to just, give, because it's very easy to work on Salesforce. It's very easy to develop applications on Salesforce, right? And that is where it is basically getting very sticky and getting into different clients. And that basically comes to the next part of our session, which is how long Salesforce will be a boom, right? This question will be there in each of every person in this particular class, right? So that, okay, I'm going to invest my money, I'm going to invest my time on Salesforce, but how long will Salesforce be there? Because historically, if you see, no technology has lasted forever, right? And Salesforce will also not be the technology which will last for forever and ever, right? So the question comes that, how long, will my X amount of dollars which I'm spending in this training, and then huge amount of effort and learning experience which I'm going to spend, will I be able to get that return on it or not? Like I have already got, right? So to be frank, right, because I'm a mainframe professional, I learned Salesforce 9 years back, and in these 9 years, I have come across a long way, and I have got my returns, right? It is same like, if you have bought a land, in 1900s, 1980 or 1990, you could have got a return. But what about buying a land now, or buying a flat now, or buying a home now, right? It is on a similar lane, right? So that question will be there in your mind always when you start any technology. Forget about Salesforce. If you go for AWS training, or you go for data scientist training and things like that. So I will try to answer that question, okay, for you. So, and the answer basically lies in the business model. Okay. So if you see, if you read about Salesforce, right? So Salesforce is saying that they are going to double their revenue in next 5 years. Okay, so if you see, if you read about Salesforce financial reports, right? So they are always growing double digits, and they are going to double their revenue in next 5 years, right? So from where Salesforce earns their revenue? So what Salesforce does is that they provide you the clouds or services, right? So that they say, okay, buy this product from me and give me X amount of money. But is that product ready to use? So if some company, I as a company buy Sales Cloud, is Sales Cloud ready to use? The answer is no. It's the product which you have bought, right? And on top of that product, you need to basically customize that product according to your business. You need to basically get that product created for you. You need to basically get it maintained, and a lot of things will be required after that also, right? So once Salesforce sells something and generates revenue, the businesses which have bought Salesforce from Salesforce need people, so that who can basically help them with basically creating the application according to them, maintaining the application, and then doing all the other stuff. And that is where all these companies come into pictures, like Cognizant, like Wipro, like Deloitte, like Accenture, and all these service providers, right? And that is why these companies are hiring a lot of Salesforce professionals, because lot people. So now Salesforce is saying that we will double our revenue in next 5 years. So that means people, they are going to double their licenses which they are selling. So if more licenses being sold, that means they are selling more and more products to these companies. So when they are selling more and more products to these companies will require more and more people to work on those products and then make them according to the companies. And that is why there is a huge requirement and huge demand of Salesforce professionals, who can basically customize the application, maintain the application, and work on the application, right? So at least, so now, I will say that whatever job market is there for Salesforce till now is just the start. It will be better in coming 2-3 years, and I think it will not peak at least 10 years from now. 8 to 10 years, this is going to be a niche technology easily. It's not going anywhere because Salesforce is a very innovative company. They're coming up with new and new products, and obviously, when you are in Salesforce, you need to basically learn new things. It is not that you basically sit idle and not learn new things, right? So within Salesforce, if you become a Salesforce professional and you start your jobs, you need to basically learn new things so that you can be up to date and keep working on new stuff. Okay, so does that answer your question, guys? That how long Salesforce will remain in market? At least 8 to 10 years. You need not to think about anything else. Once you basically get a job, you can easily get a job in the market, uh, within the Salesforce space only. Okay. Any questions, anyone?
So, Rahul, for this course, do we need to have any prerequisite installed on our machine?
Oh, no, no. The answer is no. Okay. I will show you how we can log into Salesforce. It is completely internet based application, so you need not to have any installation or any even prerequisite with respect to your with your software or things like that. Later we will talk about couple of softwares, right? Like data loader and Visual Studio. I will ask you to download, but that is not a compulsory thing. To start with admin stuff and to start working on Salesforce, you actually don't require something, right? There will be few softwares, few extensions, few things which we'll talk about later, but those are pretty much optional, that they help you in your development or your stuff. But as Salesforce, right, there is nothing, no requirement.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Okay, so we'll take a quick break, guys. I'll give you 5-10 minutes, okay, just to digest whatever we have talked about for an hour almost, right? And then once we are back, we will basically see that how Salesforce looks. We will log into Salesforce instance, and then we'll see that how what are how we can browse through the Salesforce and do stuff. Okay, so I'll be back in maybe 5-7 minutes, and then we'll continue. Until then, if you have any questions, please free to compile it and we'll answer them. I'll be back. Guys, I'm back. Okay, so yeah, so I will just go through the content, okay, whatever we are going to go through. So you can see, like, we have, like, week wise chapter, like, we have say, like, distributed here. So initial is like, what is the cloud computing, IaaS, PaaS, SaaS. Then, what are the database concepts which we are going to, like, see relationship, like, which we are possible in database. Then, like, understanding what is objects, and, we can, so creating a free account, like, I will tell you, like, not in the third chapter, but starting only I can tell you. Then I know how to create app, how to create relationships, like, we'll get into more depths of it. Then security, very important aspect of Salesforce, like, we'll go through that. Then some, business rule implementation, like, validation rules and your flows and everything we'll go through here in chapter 7 and 8, like, it's mostly your business logic implementations. Then, like, we'll get little start a little coding, right? We'll see that, how we can query. It's not a spelling mistake, okay? So a lot of people think that it's SQL and, O is like an extra, but that is not the case. In Salesforce, to query data, basically we use SOQL, SOSL, and, how joins and everything will work, like, we'll see. Then we'll start with with Apex, like, what are basically different aspects of Apex are there. Then we'll again come back to admin stuff, like, uh, how we can use data loader, how we can use reports, how we can, like, deal with multiple, like, bulk data, right? And reports and dashboards. We will see that. Then we will see that, how we can create custom pages with Visual Force, and then, oops based Apex, like, how we can create Apex as a, like, controllers to Visual Force, best practices, governor limits, and finally we'll talk about lightning also. So lightning also one aspect of, like, Salesforce, so we will talk about that. So this is end-to-end course, like, almost 16 chapters, 7 weeks, 3 hours, Saturday, Sunday, right? Almost we'll basically go through that, okay? And I basically give you guys a hands-on time in the class also. This 3 hour class will not be a boring one-sided class, right? No, so I take a very interactive session. So I will ask you guys, so when I go for a break, then I will ask you to perform some activity, to create something, or to build something by yourself. Okay. So for that, I'll give you 10, 15 minutes also, like maybe two times in a class or things like that. So you will get a hands-on experience as well for this from this class, and then I will give you some assignments which you have to do for the rest of the week. Okay, this would be our model, and that is how we'll basically proceed with the classes. Okay, any questions? Any questions here, guys?
Um, One thing, what is the actually what is the database that is used by Salesforce? What is the database?
So we will talk about it, Vedanta. The thing is that Salesforce doesn't use like, there is no database as such. Okay, so they use Oracle as a database, but we need not to know about it, right? So I will cover it as like, when we talk about this cloud computing concept and things like that, right? So there is an architecture for us, like, there is no real database which we have access to, but we have access to something, like, which is virtual, right? We can perform our queries, we can write our queries to get data, to perform our DML statements like insert, update, but we are not basically doing it directly in the database. Okay, and that is what the secret sauce for Salesforce. So I will talk about that architecture also, that, how your metadata driven architecture basically works, where something which is not exactly a database is exposed to the users like you and me, but we are able to perform all the DML operations, query operations, and things like that, uh, like to a no database, like, so virtual database, basically we can do that. Okay, we'll talk about it, but yeah, means there is no specific database which is there. And from the query perspective, it is like, very basic things which we can do. We cannot, like, write some, like, very complex queries are not there in Salesforce. Okay, so let me log in to Salesforce here. So you go to login.salesforce.com. So once you guys opt in, right? So from if we start, oops. Yeah, I'm not. Are you guys able to see my screen? Okay, yeah.
No.
No, no.
Okay, so I think it got stopped. Okay, yeah. So okay, so this is how basically we login.salesforce.com, and like in the next class, if we basically opt in for the course, right? So I will basically tell you that how we can create these logins, and how we can basically uh, like you can get into this, right? So this is how your Salesforce basically looks like. Okay. Okay. So that's how basically you you log in here. So there are two UIs also which are available, as I said, right? So one is classic UI, one is lightning UI. So this is what you are seeing is the lightning UI, and if I just click here and I'll go to Salesforce Classic. So I will see that classic UI. So there are two UIs, we'll talk about these as well. Okay, that how we can so classic is the old one and lightning is the newer one, right? So obviously we are going to learn the lightning UI, but the difference between the two from our level right now as a beginner level is just the look and feel. Okay, it is nothing uh, nothing big difference between these with respect to your functionality wise. Okay, so we will try to address, and sometimes we'll do some things here, something there, that we can also do. And you can also when you practice, you can practice in both the UIs, in lightning as well as classic, so that you understand both aspects of it. But if you ask me that which aspect you should learn more is lightning, because that is basically the future. Okay. Okay, so any other questions, anyone? No. So this is basically the Salesforce, how it looks like. So you have all these tabs and everything. So once we get started, we are going to see what all this means. So if you want to create something like some record, if you want to create, you can come here, new, or let's do in lightning. Okay, so that is more appealing to the eyes. So I'll go to opportunities. The new opportunities here. I can give a opportunity like demo 03 to 8, and then I can give all the mandatory fields here, right? So yeah, so you can see op value over here. This value is not updated, right? But if I save, if I go, you can see op value is basically now, oh sorry, it will not be updated now also. So I need to give the amount. So let me give an amount, some amount I've given. Now when I save it, you will see op value is changed to high op, right? So this, and there is an email also which has gone, and could have come to me, right? I can see it on my mobile right now. That, I can see email coming in for this transaction. So all this basically like that you can create automations and things like that, right? Where things will come back, you can set up emails, these business actions which which you can set up can be happening. Like if I go to contact, I try to create a new contact. I'm not sure if that is there. Yeah, so you see there is an error coming in, please provide email ID, right? So this is a custom settings I have, some kind of a validation rule I have kept, that if somebody tries to create a contact without email ID, throw this error, right? So these all things basically are out of the box we have created, and they can easily configured, and you won't believe that we have created it maybe in minutes. So 5, 7, 8 minutes you can create things which will basically work this way, right? So you can create validation rules, you can create workflow rules, flows, and other stuff. Coming to the development, so we can go to something called as developer console, which I will tell you guys later, right? So you can do a lot of things. So if I say go to query character, so I can write a query here, select ID, name, industry. Right, so I can write a query which is select ID, name, industry, annual revenue from account. If I execute this, you can see I'm fetching the data over, right? How many 143 rows are coming? I can put a where clause here, where industry is not equal to not equal to. If I execute this, you see now 77 rows are coming and things like that, right? So I can fetch data like this, and then see how it works, right? So if I want to update it also, I can update here only, right? So I can just say, instead of agriculture, I say education, right? And I'll say save rows. So now from here only I have saved this particular data, this is basically changed now, right? So this is also I want to change, and I'll say education, right? So this is also saved, right? Now I go back to Salesforce. I go and search for Anand, which is the account, right? The name is Anand here, right? So if I try to find, you can see. Oh, okay, so there could be some rule which is basically not allowing it to change, but ideally it should basically change. Okay, so let me use this one. I'll change to agriculture, University of Arizona. Account. Okay. Why is it not changing? So I think there is some rule which I might have created. That is what is not changing, but you can do that. Okay. So like that, you can perform things. And similarly, if you want to write code, you can go here, and you can basically write, if you want to write Apex class, for example, demo 0328, right? So you can basically write a class, right? So this is the basically class, which you can write. So you can say so like whatever you want to write, you can write and save it here, right? So there are like that. There are different aspects which you can touch base here. So out of the box, and if you talk about from where that force.com thing will come. So if you go to setup like this, so you can see this is basically your force.com. So you have all these options, which we will basically go through, not all, but we will see that other security options, data company, and other stuff is there which you can go through. And we will basically spend a lot of time in this setup, and setup will look like this in classic. So if I go to classic and I go to setup here, so these are the options which are okay. So like this. So these are the different options which we will see, and whatever what all we can create, what all we can modify, what all we can customize, we will see it from here. Okay. So any questions, anyone?
So whatever you have shown with the dev console is totally related to the dev track, right, Rahul?
Means there is no distinction. So even your admin can write a query and get like see the data like how it looks like. So it is, yeah, means dev track, like most of the development things happen in the developer console. That's true. But it is not that your admin cannot go there and have it or even your testing team cannot go and see the data and query the things, right? So it is like that.
Okay.
It can
Okay.
be used by anyone, but it is not that your administrator will be restricted to that place. It's not. It will not be that. Everyone will have access. So you go there and you can perform a transaction.
Now, why I'm asking is, what are the uh, responsibilities for an admin? I mean, when you say admin track and dev track, I mean, I totally get the developer track concept, but then I'm not sure like what an admin track would cover, right? In this course.
Right. So admin track is like so if you talk about an admin, Salesforce admin as a job, right? So admin as a job is about like maintaining this. So a company, right? So for example, I take Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola has like Sales Cloud, and they have implemented some part of the business on Sales Cloud, right? They will have this org like this, right? So this org can have multiple applications. Okay? You can see multiple applications can be there. Okay. So an admin would be responsible for to make sure that you are basically as an org you don't have any issues, right? So like enrolling people. So say there is a request came in that create 30, there are 30 new people who are going to join Salesforce team, create user. So what admin will go, admin will go to users and create users, like 30 users create, right? There will be a requirement. Okay, so can you change the security or the visibility for 5 of these people? So you will go as an admin and change the visibility of it. As an admin, like they will be asking that can you create a validation rule, small validation rule which will basically does something. So admin can go there and make those things, right? uh, Something like load data. So there are like 2000 opportunities, you want to load it through Excel. Overall health checkup, right? So if there is a licensing requirement, right? So licenses needs to be renewed or your certifications needs to be renewed, admin will do that. Your what I was saying, yeah, the system, like so they need to keep an eye that all your governor limits and things like that are basically in green, right? So there are a lot of things which an admin need to keep an eye on, that you are not like this, like your Salesforce licenses are expiring, your uh, say for example your data limit, right? So storage limit is there. So if I like go to storage usage, so the like it will tell you that what are your storage limits. So right now you can see that for me in this free org I have like total of what 65% of is used for me, right? So what are the objects for which like I'm using more storage, where I can delete the data, where I can archive the data, things like that, right? They will keep an eye on it. So like that, like those kind of things, like which doesn't require coding, but overall health of your org, right? Day-to-day transactions which needs to be done, enrolling new people, giving access to new people, or changing access to existing people, licensing information and things like that are basically maintained by admin, right? And developer would be developing applications and maintaining applications and things like that would be a part of the development. Does it make sense?
Yeah, sure. And one other question I have, Rahul. So for example, if you wanted to have your deployments in a pipeline, for example, what kind of deployment tools are included in this Salesforce? I mean,
Right.
I know about few, so I do not know what you cover in this
Right.
curriculum.
So curriculum, in this curriculum, we are going to cover, I think, change sets, right? So if we come over here, like these, right? So change sets is one of the thing which comes out of the box, although it is not part of your the free edition. Like you don't have change sets available, but I will give you an overall idea. But we will try to basically cover the CI/CD VS Code. So we will install VS Code, and through VS Code you can do a deployment. So you can write a code in VS Code and just deploy it in your org, right? So that is something we'll talk about. Chainset is the out of the box tool which comes with Salesforce. You can basically deploy, and then you have and migration tool is there, and then you have the other stuff which are there which you can use. But as a beginner you should know what are chain sets. If you don't know the other things, that is fine, but chain set is something which you should be aware of. So we are going to cover chain set and sandbox development overview.
So change sets is a concept, or is it a
Is it a what do you call feature?
of Salesforce?
Yes.
Okay.
.com. Enforce.com basically chain set basically comes out of the box, and it basically helps you in deploying from one org to the other. So I have some paid version of orgs available. So when I will give you a demo, I can basically use them and show you a demo how your sandbox works and how your chain sets work. You
Okay,
will not
thank you.
have those features in your free edition, so I can demo you with my other orgs.
Okay.
Any other
Oh
questions?
yeah, I pinged you the one that we use is Copado, which we recently started.
Right. Copado is a
Before
is a
it
is
was
again.
kind of a, yeah, it
Yeah.
was AutoRabbit, I believe. Um, and now we moved over to Copado, which I have no clue what they do. It's
Copado.
still
I'm also a Copado certified. I've done an admin and a developer certification of Copado as well. So that's like an end-to-end tool, right? So, but again, getting a job in Salesforce, if you don't know Copado, if you don't know AutoRabbit, if you don't know Ant, that is perfectly fine. But you should know chain sets. Okay.
okay.
Yeah, because that is something which comes out of the box, like the Salesforce provided, right? So you should know what Salesforce as a. You can go get into a company which is using Jenkins, and that might be using something else, and blah 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 blah, right? So that you can always learn, but you should always learn that what Salesforce provides out of the box, right? So it could be possible chain set is they are not using, but when they interview, they want to know that do you know what is chain set, so that if there is a small deployment, you can use that and quickly do that. Makes sense, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, anyone? Vedanta, Lalit, you guys are pretty silent. Is it are you guys finding it interesting or boring, or any feedback?
No, it's good. It's good.
Okay. Okay, so I think from demo perspective, I have this much only until you guys have any other questions. So if you guys enroll, then from next week we can start next Saturday, same time, and then we can just get going with
Oh yeah, that's my next question. So what would be the week? So it's going to be weekly sessions, Rahul, or and what's the duration?
so it's going to be a weekend classes, right? So every Saturday, Sunday, 3 hours for
Oh,
7 weeks.
okay.
Okay.
Same time.
Yeah, same time. So same time. So all of you guys are in US, or if you're in India?
So I'm located in the US as well.
Okay. So how about you, Vedanta, Lalit?
Yeah, I am in the US.
The US. Okay.
How about you, Rahul?
Yeah, I'm also in the US only.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that makes perfect sense, right? So yeah, we can same time I think works, and
Sure.
so you guys are okay with the weekend, right? Or you want to switch it to weekday?
Weekend is fine.
Weekend is fine. Wow, Vedanta,
Just for
Lalit.
me.
Okay, so I assume weekend is fine. Okay, so yeah, we can go for a weekend batch, and then we can be uh, yeah, I mean we can see that we can start, and then if anyone has any like like commitment or something, we can address that later maybe. Okay.
So if we
Yeah.
say,
So
for example, 2 days a week, 3 hours, so is it a 5 week, 6 week
it will be
duration?
7 weeks. 7 weeks,
7
right?
weeks?
Yeah,
Okay.
6 to 7 weeks. So if we are able to basically like, so I target 7 weeks. Mostly it will take 7 only. So, but yeah, it will be 7 only. Like you cannot cover earlier than that. So yeah,
Okay.
so it will be 7 week, 2 days a week. Yeah. So almost 5 to 6 hours learning per week, and that goes for 7 weeks. Then that's how basically we can complete everything.
Awesome.
Any questions? Anyone? Lalit, you are very silent. So any questions from your side? Anything you want to like touch base on? Any questions? Any one of you have like, because when you start learning, okay, so that is aspect. Okay, so I'll tell you that when you start learning, you should not have any doubt like on the technology as such with respect to anything, like like few of you questions you guys have asked, does it have a prerequisite, does it require any software, will it last for long, what are the like things and other stuff. So that should be clear. Okay, so if no questions, I think we are good for today. And
Hey,
I hope,
Rahul, one
yeah,
quick question before we leave. So you talked about the certification, no? The basic certification that we would be
right,
getting ready for, right?
right.
And those certifications are, those are separate, right? No, we have to register, we have to pay for it, and then we have to
Yes,
take
yes,
those
yes, yes.
certifications, right?
Correct. That's separate. Yeah, that is separate. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, so all those three certifications are a $200 each. And yeah, means you need to basically register them and basically, yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So just imagine I have taken 16 certifications, and at least 4 of them are $400 worth. So yeah. But then once you get into a company, right? So most of the companies, they provide like they provide you reimbursement if you do have certification, or they provide vouchers and things like that. So if you ask me, I have given only 2 certifications from my pocket. So like I might have paid $400, but to clear all those 16 certification, the total amount I might have like put down like the total amount comes around $5,000. So my company has reimbursed me like $4,600. I just gave $400 to start my job. That's it. So once you get a job, so most of the companies, like almost every company provides you a reimbursement to get certified, get more certifications. Okay. Okay, guys, thank you very much. It was nice interacting with you, and I hope you guys enroll, and we can get our like things rolling from next week. Okay, thanks Rajesh, thanks Vedanta, thanks Lalit.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Rahul.
Yeah,
Take
bye.
care.
Thank you.